What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my updated college football playoff predictions. So I believe the last ones I did were my way too early. That was right after the season was over. And again, something that I'd like to kind of update now. After spring football is done, after all the spring games are done, obviously that's still part of spring football. After all transfers, all the injury updates, and just all the perception changes since the season is over. And I want to go ahead and start with my number 4 seed. I'm not going to be doing my 4 outside this time. I'll actually be doing my I will be doing my overall college football top 25 rankings tomorrow, so you can kind of get an idea of what my outside teams are going to be with that. And again, these aren't going to be my top 4 teams in the 2015 or 2016 way too early rankings. Give that a heads up too. But anyway, go ahead and start with my number 4, and that's OU. So OU is a team that I believe will win the Big 12 this year. They return too much. I would like to see a different team come through, break through. I don't have faith in Baylor right now to be able to be that team, to kind of punch a hole in OU's backing to the Big 12 championship right now. OU just returns too much. The defense might take a little bit of a hit, but I mentioned this guy's name before. A name to watch out for this year is Jordan Thomas. I believe he has the ability to be one of the better defensive backs in all of the Big 12 this year. And when you're talking about OU's offense, you're talking about a team that returns multiple weapons. Dede Westbrook, Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon, and obviously Baker Mayfield under center. This will be an OU team. As much as I sometimes don't like to say it, I do respect them. And you guys that know me, I'm an OSU fan, but also I can respect what they're going to do. I think they're going to have a big year and should be able to take care of business in the Big 12. Again, I would like to see a new team come through the Big 12. It's not very exciting in any conference to see a repeat champion. And I think the teams that will challenge this year are, obviously Baylor will be the biggest challenger. I would like to see TCU, but they're kind of an unknown right now. I think Kenny Hill needs a few games to be proven before he jumps in. This is a TCU team that's just relied so heavily on Trevon Boykin, and now he's gone. And then you can just mention the talent that they lost at the receiving core with losing Josh Doxson and Colby Listenby. That's going to be a bigger hit than I think a lot of people just anticipate. I will give credit to Gary Patterson. He's a great coach. TCU will still be a team in the top half of the Big 12, in my opinion. Now, the teams you got to watch out for, the 3 that I think will be able to make some noise in the Big 12 this year. Everyone's waiting for Texas to break through. Not sure if that's going to happen. Shane Bakil can come through in a big way. Then this is a Texas team that can be dangerous. They've already got the defense that has proven to be a tough out, and a defense that is very talented, and if given the right offense, should be big. If you could combine Texas Tech's offense and Texas's defense, you would have, in my opinion, a top 10 team. Both teams, Texas Tech's offense and then Texas defense, are both elite by the stats that you can look at, especially considering Texas playing against Big 12 offenses. Also, watch out for West Virginia. Watch out for Kansas State. Those teams could also make some noise and come through as sleepers in the Big 12 this year. Now, move on to my next prediction, the number 3 seed, which will be the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Buckeyes are in a top-heavy Big 10 right now. I like them for a couple of reasons. First one being they have the expectations lifted off them to where you feel like they should be able to compete, get that underdog feeling again, and maybe loosen some of the pressure off JT Barrett's shoulders and let him free flow in the offense in what will be a brand new looking Ohio State team this year. Again, a lot of pressure is going to be focused on JT Barrett. They lose a lot all over the place. Now, when you compare Ohio State to the rest of the Big Ten, obviously the other Big Three, the other two of the big three contenders being Michigan and Michigan State. You can't forget to mention teams like Wisconsin, Iowa, and that's probably it for right now. People mentioned Nebraska's being a sleeper, but I'm not ready to throw them in there yet. They haven't shown enough consistency in the past to be able to be, or to have, I think, to warrant that type of talk. And I don't know. Michigan, I would like to see come through, but this is a Michigan team that lost to Ohio State. I believe it was 42-13 last year. I get it. The teams have turned over. Michigan is unknown at quarterback, but they return so much talent on the defensive side of the ball. They should be solid there. But I still think this is Ohio State's conference to lose. Michigan State will be a team that does regress a little bit this year. I do still think they're a 10-win team. Mark D'Antonio has done a bang-up job at Michigan State. But again, I think Ohio State is the team that will come through as the ultimate victor in the Big Ten this year. So my second seed prediction will be the eventual SEC champion, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So it's hard to go against Alabama right now. This is a team that has won, going back to Auburn in 2013, so 2 straight SEC titles, and then I believe 2 or 3 SEC titles before that, since Auburn won it before them. Dominant, best conference in college football, but as much as they lose, as much as it seems like they lose, I believe they will replace talent all over the field with no problem at all. Calvin Ridley advances into his second year in college football, is probably one of the best receivers in college football. Bo Scarborough comes in at running back, should be fantastic. Blake Barnett comes in at quarterback. That's obviously the major unknown. They return a lot of talent on defense. A few guys to watch out for, a few guys that I like to have big years. One being Marlon Humphrey at cornerback, and then another being Jonathan Allen, the returning defensive end / defensive tackle. I think they will be able to make a lot of noise on defense. Again, this is going to be a very talented SEC. It's going to challenge Alabama a little bit more than in past years. We'll see how Auburn is able to do this year. If John Franklin's starting, or if it does end up being Sean White, or oh man, I'm losing the name right now. Holy crap, can't believe it. Okay, I'm gonna have to find this name. Name's slipping my mind right now. I've been talking a lot of college football today, so it's just slipping my mind right now. But anyway, you're talking about other competing quarterbacks in the SEC East, or other competing teams in the SEC East. Florida, I think, will be dramatically improved this year. Should be able to find a quarterback, and if they can, it's a team with an elite defense. Jim McElwain has really turned that program around. I don't think he gets enough credit as a head coach. Tennessee obviously gets a lot of hype, but I think this year is finally the year that it's warranted. They returned so much talent on both sides of the ball, and we'll see if they can finally turn it into something. Other teams in the SEC East that I think could compete, going through the list, watch out for South Carolina. I don't think they're going to have a big comeback, but yeah, anyway, Georgia obviously being the last one. See if Kirby Smart can right the ship at Georgia. It wasn't wrong by any means, but kind of take that team and steer it on the right path. Maybe to get it to I guess, exceed some of the expectations they've had over the last decade, which have been absolutely massive expectations. Okay, so again, Alabama, I think there's not much to say about that. It's hard to subside the reigning national champions, reigning SEC champions, and also, two teams I forgot to mention, LSU and Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I believe, will be a huge threat this year. Alabama has not beaten them since 2013. Got to take that into account. I don't think Ole Miss will be the team in the college football playoff, but also LSU, if they can find a quarterback, which that's an enormous if. If they don't, then it's going to be the same LSU team as last year. If they do, this is going to be a national title contender that Alabama will have to knock off and will be extremely tough because they have a top 5 defense, in my opinion, at least talent-wise. And then also, we'll have so much talent at receiver, obviously led by Malachi Dupree. You got Leonard Fournette. I don't know if Jesus Christ. I don't know if what they have right now at quarterback is the answer. Brandon Harris, Jesus Christ, name was slipping my mind. I don't know if he's the answer at quarterback. Jeremy Johnson's name I was looking for Auburn too. Again, name slipping my mind, but Brandon Harris I don't think is going to be the answer at quarterback. That's my personal opinion. But if he does somehow break through, then that is a very dangerous LSU team. But again, Alabama is the reigning national champions, and they deserve to have that spot still. I do think they're going to end up losing one game, though. Again, it's going to be an extremely competitive SEC this year. But number one is who I think will be the ACC champion, and I think this is going to be the team or be the conference that is most tightly contested for having two teams in the college football playoff. But anyway, the team I'm talking about is the Clemson Tigers. So Clemson will have a difficult road to the college football playoff, no doubt. They are a team that will have to run into FSU. I believe they will have to play North Carolina. And both those teams are going to be tough outs this year. Let me see if I can pull up Clemson's schedule right quick. This is a Clemson team that returns so much talent on offense. Should be one of the most talented offenses in the country. Talking about two of the top 50 players in the country returning. Actually, maybe three of the top 50 players in the country between Mike Williams, Wayne Gallman, and Deshaun Watson. Probably, at least in my opinion, the best player in the country in Deshaun Watson. When you have a quarterback that almost, I wouldn't say single-handedly, but did single-handedly turn that team around from being a ACC contender to a national title contender, it's impossible to count that team out. I think they will be able to go undefeated, even a one loss with an ACC championship, considering this is a team that went to the national championship last year. This is a team that will still get in. Maybe not as the number one seed, depends on how everything else around them shakes out. So, again, I mentioned the Florida State Seminoles. This is going to be a team that very tightly contests for the college football playoff this year, in my opinion. It really, when you break it down, could come out to either team. But again, this is going to be a Clemson team that does not face an easy road to the national title. You're talking about a team that is going to have to go through Auburn, Louisville. Again, a Louisville team that I haven't mentioned. That's a dark horse this year as well. Florida State. Again, I don't think they meet North Carolina in the regular season, but they will have to meet them in the ACC title if North Carolina does win the division. Again, I mentioned Florida State. That's a team you got to keep in mind. I don't know who they're going to be starting at quarterback this year, but they return one of the best running backs in the country in Dalvin Cook. Travis Rudolph is going to be an absolute monster to contend with this year. And then the defensive end of things, Derwin James is a monster in the backfield, and Josh Sweat will lead will probably be a very good pass rush. But again, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, those are the four teams that I think will be in. And come back tomorrow to check out my college football top 25 rankings post spring and I guess pre-summer, pre-media days, all hype, everything. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah.